The Show with No Name, Tuesday and Friday mornings at 10 on 1490 AM WCSS Amsterdam.
Good morning. It's Friday, October 3rd, 2014.
That's right. All day.
And okay, now I'll put your mic on
there
so
we
you
go.
can save your wise remarks for the peanut gallery. I'm Bob Going with Jim Nikosha. Gavin's running a little late today. We expect him before the show's over. He promised me he'll sneak in quietly and just suddenly be here.
He's going to sneak in, okay.
He's going to sneak in. I don't know.
We got to make the announcement. The commercials for our show got the wrong time.
Oh yes. In case you think that the commercial that little blurb
it's not
you just
really
heard,
10 o'clock.
It's not
11.
10 o'clock. It's 11 o'clock.
So
today we moved to 11 o'clock. Tuesday we're going to 11 o'clock, but then we might be going to Monday at 10 o'clock or something.
everybody's got their watches. Checking
All
their
right.
watches.
So don't set your watch by the show with no name. That's a lesson to be learned here. Anyway, Jim, I know you're disappointed, but it's really a shame we did not have a show yesterday, because yesterday was National Poetry Day, and I know you just love it when we do when we do Kaiser's Corner.
So you're going to sing a song?
I've got any number of songs ready to sing. I had one this morning. What the heck?
No,
was it?
don't sing.
Oh no, it was a pretty good one.
No. If you sing, then I'm going to sing, and then you'll never get another listener.
You're going to sing?
Well, if I do, you'll never get another listener.
I don't know. This could be interesting. What about it, ladies and gentlemen? 843-2500 is the number. Those of you who are, still tied up from not having gotten on the John Becker show. We know how it is, John. We've been there.
We've all been there.
There's nothing worse than waiting for the callers,
like we are right now.
Yeah, except we're talking to each other. You see?
Yes.
You ought to do what Joe Gallagher used to do, and just invent an alternate personality, and you can talk to yourself back and forth.
That's like Skip Work.
Owens talks to Skip. Yeah.
Skip Work.
Yeah.
So.
Wow. So what's going on, Jim?
Well, I'll tell you. I went up to paid my pay. I submitted my papers for the assessment, not the assessment.
The star exemption?
The star exemption.
All right. At the assessor's office.
At the assessor's office.
Yeah.
And
this is for the senior star exemption.
For the senior star exemption. Yeah.
How old do you got to be for that?
I don't know.
Probably not the same as McDonald's.
No. McDonald's. McDonald's. You can be a kid and go get their coffee.
Yeah. My most embarrassing moment. I was 53 years old. It was about 10 years ago, and taking my son back to college in Rochester, and we stopped at the last thruway stop before getting off at Rochester, because I need a cup of coffee, because I'm turning around and coming right back. It's 3.5 hours up, 3.5 back. So I go in. I'm looking at the board, and it says regular coffee $1.09, and then the large was like $1.19. You get like twice as much. I said, well, that's a good deal. But I can't drink that much coffee. So I said, one regular. I handed the guy $5, and I get $4.54 in change. And a receipt saying one senior coffee.
And he didn't even ask.
He didn't even ask.
Oh, boy.
Oh. And I wasn't home before all the other kids knew about it.
I've never asked for a senior coffee, but a few times they've given me the senior. But I did ask for it recently, and I'm not sure. I can't remember where it was. And they said, we don't have senior coffee.
Woohoo! Well, don't go there anymore.
I said, well, I must have been on the road somewhere because I don't remember where it was.
We don't have senior.
We don't have senior coffee.
No, I know it's embarrassing because I walk into a diner in a strange place now and they just hand me the senior menu. They just hand it to me. Come on, I'm barely 63. For God's sake.
You gave that impression that you were an old man. You were an old man. So
well, yeah, it's the bad back, I think.
Yeah.
Is this for us?
I don't know. I didn't see. Yeah, click on it. See, they'll tell us.
Huh?
They'll tell us if it's for us or not.
No. So you
No, hit it.
Oh, hit it.
I would, yeah.
This is WCSS. You're on the air.
Hi, Judge. How are you?
Hey, good.
There we go.
Hey, when you get a lull in this hour,
Starting 5 minutes ago.
That may not ever happen, but if you get a lull, write this down so you can please explain to all the loyal Andrew Cuomo supporters.
Yeah.
Please explain why just about every commercial of Andrew Cuomo's speaks about Rob Astorino rather than Andrew Cuomo himself.
Yeah, how about that?
Yeah, I have kind of a rule of thumb. It's not etched in stone, but I never vote for anybody who tells me more about their opponent than they do themselves.
Especially when you're the incumbent, for God's sakes.
Yeah, he should be, telling all his tales on all he's done. He's got 4 years of accomplishments behind him.
Yeah.
So when the lull in the show comes, explain that, because some Andrew Cuomo, supporters could just go blindly into the night.
Yeah.
Good show.
All right. Thank you.
Take care.
All right. When we get along.
There we go.
This is WCSS. You're on the air.
Hello, Bob. Regarding the Irish American Club elections are this Saturday, October 4th, from 12 to 5.
12 to 5. Who's running?
I don't know who's running, but there's a strong rumor going around that Bob Kaiser is going to be there signing autographs.
Oh, that will be absolutely terrific. All right.
The guy draws a crowd, Bob.
I've got several books of modern poetry I would like him to sign. Yeah.
I'm sure he's up to the task.
All right.
Okay, Bob.
All right, members of the Irish American Club. Elections are, they hold the elections. You know why they hold the elections this time of year?
No, why?
Because they figure it's a good time to collect the dues. It's not in the Christmas season.
Okay,
it's not
good idea. Good idea.
After the first of the year, nobody's got any money. But in September, you're usually reasonably flush before you start the Christmas.
What are the dues? Enough for
right?
Two,
so
for
if
2 beers?
So as long as you're coming in to vote anyway, pay your dues while you're there. That's the whole idea. Yeah.
Or you can't have a beer.
Well, I've never seen anybody turned down. I've never seen anybody turned away. Yeah.
No, I'm sure.
I know,
It's a good club.
that is the rule, but
Yeah.
personally, I've never seen anybody turn away. But everybody wants to be a member of the club, so.
Yes, they do.
Yeah, it's a good club. It's only, really, the only club I've ever joined.
Really?
Yeah, well, I think so.
You're like Groucho, right?
I was just going to say. I'm kind of like Groucho. I would never join any club whose standards are so low they would accept me as a member.
Oh dear.
God, what a funny man. He really was the funniest man in the world.
Yeah.
You don't even know how much of those scripts were just him ad-libbing,
A lot of them were.
Yeah.
A lot of them were.
Jeez.
Yeah.
They used to do, when he did the TV show, they would record like 2.5 hours to get every half-hour program because he was just going on and on and on, and then they just take the best part.
I saw on the computer the other day of Groucho and that secret word of whatever it was.
Yeah.
Talking to Gonzalez.
Oh yeah. Gonzalez. Yeah.
Yeah, that was quite a show.
Oh. Your name is Gonzalez? That's right.
And what do they call you? He said, Pedro.
Do you ever see it's on YouTube? It's a fake Groucho show with Jack Benny.
No.
It was actually a skit on the Jack Benny show, but they go through the whole thing. And,
I don't recall that one.
Well, Jack Benny's got a fake toupee on, so he's disguising himself, and Say the secret word. It's something you have around the house. And then he starts to, well, Mr. Gonzalez, or whatever he's calling himself. What do you do for a living? What I do for a living, Groucho, is I collect sofas and dishes and ashtrays, curtains, dining room tables,
Oh, God.
dishcloths.
That was quite a show.
And then the punchline was, how old is that skinflint Jack Benny? And he just, because this is for all the money,
Yeah.
and he's just, you can see him just his head is exploding. You know. 39. No, I'm sorry, you lose. He doesn't get the money, so he has a choice of betraying his age or getting the money. It is hilarious. So because Groucho's ad-libbing through the whole. Nothing was what was in the script apparently. Yeah. Nothing that they rehearsed. They even changed their names.
Quite a show. Quite a show.
Yeah.
So I was
Simon Arkovich, the guy who could stuff a record number of cigars in his mouth at the same time.
I don't remember that one.
Yeah, Simon Arkovich. Well, the show was on for 15 years or something, wasn't it? So there are a lot of episodes out there. They should have that on Netflix. I don't think they do.
I got a glimpse of the annual update document.
Really?
Yeah.
What did you learn?
I learned that I think we're in deep trouble. We started 2013 with a fund balance of $330-some thousand.
Oh my God!
Just prior to, but they had used. There were $140-some thousand in the hole.
Yeah.
And they took it out of the fund balance to bring it down to $330-some. And then going through more of it, I looked at the bus transportation. Negative, I don't remember the figure because I don't remember figures that well. But the total budget was, I think, $530-some thousand in revenues, and they spent it all, and they were negative, I think, $50-some thousand in the negative. Then I looked at that was the transportation. Then I looked at grants and things like that. It showed none of the grants and loans that they took out for all these projects. So either they can't find the money, they don't know where it went, or something. I couldn't find it. I didn't sit down and talk to anybody about this, but I wish somebody could explain to me. Now this is 2011 and 12 budget. And I'm sure we borrowed money, and I'm sure we got grants in those 2 years. But nothing showed up on the grants page.
How can that be?
How can that be? That's one of the questions. So I believe that we're in trouble. We're in trouble.
Well, if the fund balance was as low as you said at the start of the year, it was what wasn't it like? $3.5 million when we left office?
Yes, yeah. So
I say we, like it was a big elected official,
yeah.
you know. But, I was part of the Nicosia administration. Back where the alderman ran everything, you know, like it's supposed to be.
Well, yeah, I was going to say that's what we were supposed to do.
Yeah.
We didn't always get everything done that we wanted to because.
Oh no, you can, you know. Never happens that way.
But
and it's probably a good thing it doesn't happen that way. Even if you are full of great ideas.
I wish I had gone to the committee meeting where they got all these ex-politicians together and they went through the city's finances.
Yeah.
And I would hope that they had this update document with them, and I hope
I have to assume they did. Yeah.
And I wish somebody would call us and let us know what came at that meeting.
Well, this is Mayor Villa, Mike Chiara, and Dave Davis, and I don't think you could pick three better or more nonpartisan people for
exactly.
Exactly. I mean, they're all independent minded
and financially.
That's what. Financially knowledgeable about budgets.
Right.
About city budgets.
Yeah. But I went through it, and there was so
Mario's rolling along at 90 years of age, and he's as sharp as a tack, as sharp as he ever was.
Yep.
He
sure is.
And he calls me up every once in a while and says, "You see, in this budget, my eyes kind of glazed over when I was looking at the budget when I had to. Now that I don't have to."
He used to, when I was an alderman, occasionally he would call me and he said, "Jim, you know this? Do you know that?" I said, "Well, I didn't until you just told me."
Yeah.
And.
Wait, when he was mayor off and on for 3 terms, and he knew where every dime was all the time.
Yep.
All the time.
Yep.
And he had good people around it. I mean, Michael was there then, and Jimmy Okel, who was the city engineer, was a whiz with the budgets too, and was a big help to him. He had Joe Fusella in the Controller's office, who was the purchasing agent, but really the old city administrator.
I was going to say administrator.
So there are a lot of good people who knew their stuff while he was there, but he loved that, and he still does. You know. And thank God for that, because we have an administration now that seems to be completely disinterested in, in these things.
The update document.
Management.
The update document was signed by Mitchell.
By the assistant controller?
The assistant controller. Where's the controller? Why? I don't understand that.
I don't either.
And if you go through these pages, little by little, there's so many blank spots in it. So many blank things that is not recorded.
By the way, how do they transfer? They run a deficit.
Yeah.
And then they transfer money from the fund balance to cover the deficit. When did the aldermen ever vote on that? They never did.
No, they didn't.
And so it's absolutely wrong.
Well, that I don't know.
Show me the resolution where the aldermen voted to transfer money from the fund balance to cover the deficit from the previous year, because we would have heard about that. It seems to me.
I'm sure we would have.
Yeah.
I'm sure we would have.
So if they're just. This is part of what I've been saying all along. Part of the management problem is they're incurring debts in excess of the money that's budgeted, and then just going ahead and paying them because there's money in the bank account.
They think there's money in the bank account.
Yeah. Well, there's money in the bank account. It's just encumbered, but they don't care about that.
They're operating
as long as there's cash there.
They're operating on a budget that only can operate on money that's coming in right now, cash basis.
Well, it's supposed to.
It's in a cash basis.
Yeah.
I mean, they don't have any fund balance, so they can only operate on what's coming in.
Well, they don't have fund balance to speak of. Really, if that's all the fund balance is, they really have no fund balance, because most of that is.
Well, that was going into 2013.
Most of that's uncollectible taxes.
Right. That was going into 2013, but what happened in 2013, we have no idea.
Yeah. Well, we'll get to that.
Well, they say by January, I guess they're supposed to know everything.
Well, if the entire fund balance has been eaten up since we left, we're in bad shape, because our debt has doubled.
Yeah.
Wow. Our debt has doubled, and the fund balance has disappeared.
The way I read it, at 2013, they started the year with a $300,000
fund balance.
Plus fund balance. So if something negative happened in the city, or some catastrophe happened in the city, there was nowhere to get money. They would have to borrow money again.
Wow.
And I don't think they have any credit to borrow any money anymore.
Well, they don't.
So we're in deep trouble. And
we're not. We've just started this fiscal year.
And I keep hearing that there's no problems. But
you're right. Right, we don't have to worry about Ebola either.
I don't know about that one.
Let me tell you, among other things, our government that's supposed to be protecting us would not even release this guy's airline itinerary. You know where the AP got it from? They got it from Belgium, because the guy got a plane from Liberia to Belgium, and they happened to have his entire flight itinerary there, because from Belgium he was going to Dulles, and from Dulles to Dallas. Dulles to Dallas.
Dulles.
All right. So I see this.
Wow.
And, Jamie was home for an hour the other day and then went on to Montreal to his new job. And so same day, he just left. And I'm reading this after he left. And I emailed him. I said, didn't you just fly from Washington to Dallas a couple of weeks ago? And I sent him a copy of that AP report. He said, missed it by 2 days, but we were on the same flight, the same itinerary.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Could have been riding with this guy, and then he, had lunch with me, and I'm here talking to you, and that's, ladies and gentlemen, is what happened to the show with no name. What's that stuff bulging out of your eyes there?
Jeez. Wow.
Yeah. Scary stuff.
It is scary. It's.
And do you trust the government? I don't. Of course they're going to tell us, it's not a problem. Oh, don't worry, it's not contagious. And
well, they were saying that, but
then it turns out the guy was running around for several days, and
and they're trying to track everybody down.
Yeah,
they're trying to track everybody down. He came,
and all of a sudden, now they're trying to contact the people who are on the airplane, and meanwhile saying absolutely nothing to worry about. Sure, sure. Sure. Did they check the temperature of everybody who got on the plane in Belgium?
Can you imagine that?
Do you think so? Do you think they checked the...
Do you have a temperature? Getting on the plane, they're going to ask the guy, do you have a temperature? Well, no.
Right.
I'm going to get home. Naturally, I'm going to say no.
Of course. I want to go home. I don't want to stay in freaking Belgium.
Wow. Oh,
Scary. You remember... I don't know. We got a call here. I got some stall material here.
Okay.
If we do get a lull. This is WCSS. You're on the air.
Yeah, I don't know if you saw the news last night, but they were talking about the gentleman that came from Liberia with Ebola.
Right.
And they asked him if he was in contact with anyone who had Ebola, and he said no. And then they went on to say in the news report that a few days before he flew to the States, during the night he heard one of his a neighbor screaming who was pregnant, and he went to her aid. And he and her brother loaded her into a taxi.
All right.
He sat in the back seat with her, and no hospital would treat her. Within a couple of hours, she died, and within 2 days, her brother died.
Yeah.
Okay, now, the guy, there should be more safeguards, I agree, but if somebody lies and says they weren't in contact with anyone with Ebola, it's kind of like there's a weak chain in the link.
We've all been to airports. We know what it's like. There's thousands, tens of thousands of people going through the airport, passing through security lines and all this stuff. Nobody's going to be checking to make sure everybody looks perfectly healthy, That's not.
Well, maybe there should be a quarantine of people coming from those West African.
Well, that's right, and they're afraid to do that now because they don't want to offend anybody. Well, you know what? Too bad. This is an emergency. This is a crisis. It's time to offend the people. Did you see these people that were quarantined got up and left the house? They said, "Well, we're tired of being locked in." Oh yeah. Oh, that's terrific. Just go and infect all of freaking Dallas.
Yeah. So you know what they should do with the guy that has Ebola that we're treating in Dallas right now? They should put him on a plane, send him back to Liberia, and halfway over, open up the door and kick his butt out in the ocean.
Well, this guy was actually doing he risked his own life to save the pregnant woman.
All that is washed away though by the fact that he's endangering the entire country now by lying.
Yeah, and everybody else is lying about it. So that's very troublesome.
Aren't some countries?
Yeah, well, like you said, Obama was on the TV saying that there's no threat of Ebola coming to
the same day or the day before.
How much credibility does he?
How much credibility does he have on anything? Really? How much credibility
Yeah,
does
well,
it
how
have on
much
this?
credibility does any official have who's going to come on now and say there's no threat of it being spread?
No, none whatsoever.
Absolutely none.
No.
Right.
And if I were a parent in Dallas, where those 4 kids went, and all 4 kids he had in contact with were in different schools, and a lot of the parents are keeping their kids home. Damn right, they're going to keep them home. They're going to,
That's
you know
right.
what? They can learn their multiplication tables some other time, or their Common Core, whatever they're doing, adding by subtracting. I don't know, or subtracting by adding, and weird stuff. You know.
It seems that the higher you get in political office, the bigger the lie.
Well, that could be, yeah. Or maybe it's just the more noticeable.
Easier to lie.
Well, I don't know.
And Julia Pearson there resigned.
Yeah.
Instead of Obama calling her and chewing her out for endangering his entire family, had they been in the White House, he thanks her for her faithful service.
Yeah, well, this family wasn't in the White House because they had left 5 minutes earlier. The Secret Service agent who finally tackled this guy was the guy who was going off duty because he'd been guarding the president's wife and kids, and they had just taken off in the helicopter. So he was on his way home and sees this guy running through the East Room and tackles him.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, take it easy.
Okay. And he was armed. This guy was armed. And then they find out that this other guy rode in the elevator with the president, who was an armed felon.
And the guys that were supposed to be guarding the White House was out guarding some official at his house because the neighbor he was having a dispute with his neighbor, so they sent
oh my God.
And they had the FBI and the Secret Service sitting in front of this woman's house because because
they're abusing their authority.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Only in America.
Well, then this woman who's in charge of the Secret Service is testifying before Congress, and she out lied to them, and the congressman had all the information. Yeah. And did you tell the president of the United States that you're supposed to be guarding that this guy standing next to him had a gun, and that he was a convicted felon? Did you ride in the elevator? Did you tell him that? Well, no.
I don't think that's for us, is it?
I don't think so.
I think only the first 2 is for us. I think.
It is ours?
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, we got a number we've never seen before. This is WCSS. You're on the air. Hello?
Hello?
Yes, you're on the air. Did you want to be on the air?
No.
Oh, okay. All right, then.
Sorry.
Bye. I guess it wasn't for us.
I guess. How come she pointed to us?
I don't know. Maybe she just likes pointing. I don't know. But can you imagine? I don't have a lot of sympathy for the president. He is a big fat liar, but about everything.
Maybe.
But they don't tell him. They don't tell him, the people who are responsible for protecting him, that they screwed up.
Well, they didn't want to. Maybe they didn't want to protect him.
Oh.
Did you ever think of that? Maybe they didn't want to protect him.
Well, can you imagine if something? And remember that other thing when he was in South Africa, where the crazy man is like the distance between you and me.
No,
the guy who was the deaf interpreter, and the people who were real deaf readers were saying this guy's just signing nonsense, and it turns out he was just a crazy man off the street. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And he gets to stand next to the President of the United States.
That sounds like the officials we have at the brick house up on the hill.
Oh. Yes, it does.
Oh dear.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Oh, well. I'm tired of being controversial. This is WCSS, by the way, 1490 on your radio dial in Amsterdam, New York, on this beautiful autumn day. I'm going to go out.
Isn't it a beautiful day today?
I'm going to go out and peep some leaves a little bit later, and then over the weekend, probably going up to my sister's at Caroga Lake tomorrow, and then to Western Massachusetts on Saturday to reconnoiter with our daughter coming from Boston. And
it'll be a nice little trip.
It should be a beautiful trip. Sunday that will be. Tomorrow looks like rain all day, which is a shame.
That's
because
what they're saying.
It's a homecoming and all that stuff planned at the Four Diamonds, and the parade and the football game and the soccer game, and it looks like it's all going to get soaked.
Everything's going to get soaked up.
Well, if it looks that bad, I hope they at least reschedule the parade and the Four Diamonds events. That would be nice. Be a shame to see it all because it was a great event last year. It was weather like today last year.
Was it?
Yeah, it was beautiful. Just beautiful.
I think I was out of town last year.
You're out of town a lot. I saw, what was that, a generational picture of you on Facebook the other day?
Five generations.
Wow. And you're the top of the five.
I'm the top of the class.
Yeah. But more remarkably is Elaine is also at the top, is she not?
Yeah, well, she's at the top. I'm next in charge.
Yeah. Wow. So this was, your son, your grandson?
My granddaughter.
Great-granddaughter, right?
Great-granddaughter
and
great-grandson.
And
grandson.
Grandson. Wow.
Yep.
Wow. A great-great-grandfather.
When I walk out to the car, you'll be able to tell that it's...
But
a lady called about tomorrow. She said pretty much everything's been canceled.
Everything's been canceled?
Yeah.
Okay. Not the game, though?
No, not the game. Just the...
All right. Yeah. Okay. So it doesn't look like stuff's going to be on tomorrow.
The game is tonight.
No, the game's tomorrow. Yeah, it's kind of like a doubleheader. They're playing in the afternoon tomorrow. And then there's going to be a soccer game later tomorrow night.
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
There's not a football game tonight?
No, it's tomorrow.
What's today?
Friday. Ordinarily, it's Friday night, but they're playing Saturday afternoon because it's homecoming.
Oh, okay. Now, I didn't know that.
At least that's my understanding. All right. Okay, we're going to have a special guest in a moment that's going to straighten everything out.
All right. Let's get this plugged
All right,
in.
let's get this baby plugged in. Okay.
He's going to fill me in on what I said wrong, I guess.
Right. He must have heard you, and he got right in his car and come down here.
Yep.
Ladies and gentlemen, we'd like to welcome back at this time the co-host of the show with no name, Mr. Michael Chiara.
Is that on?
Yes, it's on.
Hello, everyone. Best of health. No, I didn't hear a thing you said, but I can imagine what you did do.
Yeah.
Well,
it's like everybody else. You don't have to listen to the
about
program.
25 words.
All right.
Go ahead.
No, what did you say?
No, that's right. Tell us what the AUD says.
I can't really tell you. I'm not an expert on the AUD other than we're up to 12. We're told we're going to be pretty well finished, I guess, in several months. What frightens me about all of it is that I'm not sure about all the numbers. And what bothers me about it, I don't know if they're ever going to have a handle. The number that bothered me, which is an aside to this, which really shocked me, was parcels. We know what parcels are. They could be vacant land, anything.
Right.
Yeah.
There's 650 plus on some list for foreclosure. You think about that number.
Which means they're 2 years behind in their taxes.
Possible foreclosure.
Or more.
Yeah, possible foreclosure. But just think about it.
But yeah, to get on that list, you have to have not paid property taxes from 2 years ago.
Right, but think about what's coming. That
Or
doesn't
more.
say what's going to be in the future. And as I said, how's the codes department or the city going to handle this influx?
Now, for example, when we did the foreclosure when I was
Right.
we started out with like 210, 220 on the list.
Right.
We ended up foreclosing on about half of that. So you're talking about 3 times that
I'm talking
number.
about you can't get to this point. The city is not in the housing business, and I don't know how many of those are houses. I'd like to see the list. I might foil the list and just see what the amount of money that's owed. But it's dangerous. What you want to look at is what's the collection rate? Is it 90%? Is it 70%? Is it 80%? Where are you going? What are you going to do here for the future? We got some.
And this is our fund balance.
What fund balance?
Jim was saying that the fund balance at the beginning of 2013 was down to 149,000 or something like that.
No,
But is that correct?
330-some thousand.
Yeah, but didn't you say that they had already encumbered half of that?
We're on a cash basis right now, basically.
That's exactly the words you said.
That's exactly what we're on. We're on a cash basis. The thing is, are they doing a trend analysis? Are they looking at what may happen? Are they really setting a policy in place? I guess they said they're trading, and they are. It's nobody not going to point fingers. That finger pointing isn't going to get you anywhere. It's the public has a right. What the public has a right to have is, I think in simple English, is for somebody who's handling the finances to hold a news conference and explain this to the public. It's their city. They should have a right to know that.
And I don't,
Mario Villa used to do it constantly. He was on top of the numbers.
Yeah.
I would never suggest that your current chief of the head of the city do it. That would be a disaster. You need somebody from the controller's office or somebody else, or even if you get somebody from the state to come down, explain it in simple English. 4 or 5 simple questions. Where you are? Where are you with your debt service? Where are you with your other funds? Everybody always forgets about the water, sewer, and sanitation.
Yeah.
Now, Sam had something on the air yesterday, and when we did the 3%, it does include.
It does.
It does. Now, I don't know what Jerry's ruling that nothing's right because he says it isn't.
It does include.
It doesn't, and it also says that it can't be raised without going to referendum. We did that deliberately.
They already eliminated that by local law without going to the public.
Well, that's a slap in the public's face. Maybe they should be
that's right.
like this.
What do you got? Oh, what's this?
I guess the city's being sued for from the
Civil
New York
liberties?
Civil Liberties Union.
Oh, for the for the gag order.
For the gag, well, if you want to call it that, for the gag order.
Well, that's what it is. You're not allowed to talk to the alderman.
Yeah, well, that's
without going through me.
But I really would like to talk about that. I was the only person at the hearing of the county, and it sort of bothered me because I heard a lot of people say they're against the fee structure, even though it might start out at $10 or $20. And I was there speaking, and I don't know if anybody really paid attention to it, but once you start it, and I'm the one who did it here in the city in the 70s. Once you start it, it's going to be almost impossible to stop it. And what becomes next? We started with the sewer at $55 a unit. It's $271.
Right.
It's $870 per household here now in the city of Amsterdam.
And sanitation.
For also water. Okay, where does it stop? And what will be next? And what's the purpose of it? If you look at that budget, and I've looked at the budget, and I'm not an expert, if you look at that budget, where is it dedicated? Or is it just lapped, that amount of money, thrown into the general fund to do this? They also, in my opinion, have to have a special law and an adjunct to this to put it in. And I'm asking any legislator out there not to do it, to say, sorry, we're not doing it. We're just going to go back to the budget, and we'll have to make some cuts or whatever you're going to have to do.
Right.
And I think they're opening up, as they always use that phrase, a can of worms, that we're going to be in deep you know what if they let this go. If you look at the miles of roads and you look at this, and the towns should be looking at their roads and the responsibility they have also. If you look at this, $300,000-$400,000 is a farce for a bridge or something. So what would they really need if they're talking about they want to make everything perfect? Tell me what they would really need. All right, is $20 or $10, whatever the charge is going to be doing? Oh, gee, guess what? We found out now we need to raise it to $50. And how much are the people going to put up with? You didn't. I don't think you voted for all this in to have fees charged. There's an excellent letter in the Schenectady Gazette today on fees, which ought to be read. Excellent. The guy is pointing out it's in another place. And what happens? Because it's very easy. As you know, why we put the cap on there in the city, it was very easy to say, well, now we'll put all the money over to the other funds. No, we shouldn't be doing that. We should be lowering them. That's how we got to be running government here. But what bothers me is, and the attitude is, and I think Tom Quackenbush was on the air, the attitude basically is, nobody showed up, everybody's happy. They don't understand that people are fed up.
They don't even know what's happening.
Yeah, and people are fed up.
Yeah.
They figure we go and they talk, and they're not listening, etc. That's why there has to be recall. I say this a million times. The bad thing in here, but they wouldn't let me amend it. Their term should not be 3 years. Their term should be 2 years. That's my opinion on as far as the legislatures. But it's 3. I bet you the majority of people don't even know that. There's a 3-year term, the way it's set up.
I'm sure they don't.
And it should be like everybody else. Even Paul Taco has to run every 2 years like that. But we've got a situation ensuing here in the county.
Is he still the supervisor of the 6th Ward?
He might be.
He might be.
Maybe his ghost is, or somebody, or his doppelganger.
His doppelganger. That explains how he can be all these different places.
That's what I always wondered.
Yeah.
Man, nobody can eat that many pancakes. But,
Two to go.
Yeah, okay. I really do think, do you start a citizens group? What do you do? I mean, it does seem like there is you had mentioned this, there is a general apathy.
That's from the high school.
Yep.
Okay, so if you got to make an announcement, make it.
Oh, yeah. All right, yeah, let's do this. Homecoming times have been changed tomorrow. Everything's still on. The parade has been moved up to 10 a.m. The game is now 1 p.m., and the soccer game stays at 7 p.m.
Maybe you better
So
read
it's
that again.
separate admission for the football.
Why don't you
and
read that
soccer
again?
game.
Read that again.
Parade is now going to be 10 o'clock. They're trying to avoid, apparently they're looking at the weather patterns and trying to get it
really?
in before the rain tomorrow. It's going to rain,
that's terrific.
100% chance of rain
Thank you.
tomorrow. So parade is at 10, the game is at 1 p.m., and I got to assume if they're doing the stuff at the Four Diamonds, that's moved up, it's going to be in the morning as well. So game has been moved up to 1 o'clock. I think it had been scheduled for 2, if I'm not mistaken.
But to get back to my original point, how do you change it where you can get people? I know in the 1970s, we used to go to hearings up at City Hall for the budget, and I am telling you, it was back into the halls.
Yes.
Right.
They had budgets, and they read them, and they would yell at the Common Council, and they would get right through it, and they wouldn't stop. Now you're lucky, unless it's your own personal thing that you want. You're lucky if you can get anybody to show up. I mean, I actually really seriously thought when I went up there, and I went up quick, that there would be a lot of people there complaining about the fee. And it was incredible. So what message are we sending?
Nobody knows about it, Mike. I barely know about it, and that's because I'm here. Nobody even knows.
Well, I
that
tried
they
to
got
put
this
it out
fee
as
plan.
much as possible. I mean, then the recorder should maybe do an analysis on it and put it out for the public to let them know that this is happening. Don't you think?
You would think they would, but
I mean, all of a sudden, you'll go up there and says, "Oh, you owe us this." What do you mean we owe this? You say, "Well, you didn't pay attention," and then they'll go out grumping and this and that and blah blah. But that doesn't solve it. The issue has to be solved. What is a priority here? Or you lost the casino, all right? I wanted the casino, you lost it. So now you put your ducks somewhere else. You are going to get revenue from it. You say, what can we do in Amsterdam? Is there a plan? Is there?
Well, there's a plan to make a plan.
I have a plan.
And what is your plan? My plan is a landfill, of course. But
Well, that's the Nicosia plan. We can't call it the Chiara plan anymore.
fine with me. I'm not out for, I don't want any parades or anything. I want my taxes reduced. It's simple as that. But we can do it in another way, which may be being worked on presently. That's all I'll tell you. To get people involved more, how do you get people involved? These talk shows could do it.
You know,
These talk shows could turn people around.
But we're called buzzsaws.
We're trying.
Buzzsaws.
That's right. We're buzzsaws. We brought up.
We're all
We just
idiots.
we did an analysis.
We're all idiots.
Yeah.
Well, who calls you idiots?
On Facebook, somebody said
Who
we're
reads
idiots.
that stuff?
Now, we did an analysis a couple of weeks ago on the new train station, and
I heard that.
discovered there were 29 people a day using it, and how many, how much they would have to spend each day to pay off the cost of the train station in 1,000 years. And if each one of the 29 people spent $20 a day in 1,000 years, they would pay off the cost.
They'd be spending anyway.
Well, I know. This is my point. It would still take 1,000 years.
But see, you're
to pay
losing
for
the
it.
point. And Jimmy sat with us, and I think you did, up at the school. You're going to have, what was it, 250,000 people coming into the city of Amsterdam
I will
every
tell
year?
you. I will tell you because I know exactly. Because I was at this Democrat Love Fest last year down at the park, at the Riverlink Park, at the James D. Marks Riverlink Park.
Great man.
He was a great man. And Congressman Tonko said tens of thousands of people will be visiting this every year, and the mayor interrupted him, Mayor Thane, and she said, "No, Paul, hundreds of thousands. And if that wasn't enough, when Canal Corp Director Stratton came here a couple of months ago, he said millions of people.
Wait a minute. No one could be that idiotic.
Well,
I mean, I say
did you hear the three names I just mentioned?
Yeah, but nobody could have said that you expect.
So it went from tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands to millions.
At the demographics and the geography of this particular city, assume you in 1 month 25,000. Where are you going to put them? Where are they going to park? Where are they going to go?
Yeah, you figure it out by the day. How many people that's got?
Well, it's not going to be the day. What do you do in the winter? Are they going to come here to visit this in the winter, when it's probably not open? So how many actual days do you have with the crazy weather that you can use it? And if anybody says you're going to have 1 million people here, God save us in this government, in the whole state and everywhere else, because that is beyond incredible.
And if you challenge that, you're being negative. You're
you're being
against
truthful.
progress. You're
Not
against progress.
at all. Number one, I just found out about this idiot. Oh, better watch my mouth. I always get like this. The sculptures. What is this sculpture stuff that's going on the bridge?
$2 million. They want us
$2.3 million.
$2.3 million worth of artsy stuff on the bridge.
We're gonna have
that includes three items, I believe.
That includes what?
I believe there are 3 art items for that.
3 art items, yes.
For the $2.3 million.
Yes.
Maybe 4, but I think it's 3.
The woman with the chimes, holding chimes.
Yeah, with the wind chimes.
Who decided
Yeah.
this?
The wind chimes. Who decided?
Yeah, well, I'm asking a simple question. As a taxpayer, who decided this?
Mayor Thane and Paul Tonko.
So this is a dictatorship.
They collaborated.
They decided what art would be purchased.
And what is that going to do? That's why the million people are coming, because the Mona Lisa is going to be brought down here.
Yeah.
See, this is what's wrong now. We can't concentrate on the important items, like the finances, so we got to concentrate on something like this.
Bread and circuses.
I want to get back to the finances.
All right.
Because we can't do anything about the bridge because that's foregone.
Yes, we can.
Yeah,
but we've already done it. You're here, and you know what you're talking about. So he's got some questions about the AUD.
Doesn't mean that I can answer them. I'm not the controller.
Yeah, but you're on the special committee.
There was a finance committee.
One meeting.
There was a finance committee between you and former alderman and another former mayor. What was the conclusion of your meeting?
My conclusion is that for a technical aspect of the meeting, it was excellent.
Technically, it was
yes,
excellent.
because Mario Villa and Dave really do know their finances. Okay, and Dave goes through the budget. You may not, and I also the budget, also the AUD very thoroughly, and asks a lot of questions that I wouldn't be capable of asking because I worked with Dave for years. All right, he is into that. Mario, well, you know the way Mario is.
Okay.
He'll spend 1 million hours trying to do something. I was the only thing, and I'm not going to say because I don't, everybody's going to say you're going to take it out of context. I think the main issue is this, and I would say it publicly on the air. I looked at the alderman, Diane was there, and Richie. It's their responsibility.
Exactly.
They've got to move now, and they've got to come up with a plan. All this other nonsense, and I'm not saying they shouldn't question, because they should, but you can't have that the whole priority. They've got a very serious situation here. It's up to them to take charge, period. It's up to them to get more involved, take charge. If they don't understand something in there, then they should get the answer, call special meetings and get it, and tell the public, because you know what? We are all involved. Our pocketbooks are involved.
Do we have anybody in the city capable of?
I don't know. Maybe
giving us
Mr.
that
Mitchell
information?
signed the report. So I would ask Mr. Mitchell. I guess there's a guy up there by that name. I've never met him. But I would ask him to come forward and address the city. Now, if you remember, maybe you do, maybe you don't. When Mario was mayor, and we didn't have all the sophisticated nonsense that they have now. That's what I'll call it. He used flip charts. And he would go over every single item, and the council would sit there, the department heads would sit there, and you'd listen. But it was available to the public, and they could actually see the numbers up front. That's what we've got to do again. They do this PowerPoint stuff. I don't understand it. They do it, and do something like that. Say, we're having a meeting, we're going to go over the finances of the city and tell you where we are, where we may be, which is an important item. That's always, to me, important item is, what does this mean for the future? You got to do it. Number one, another question is, do you have a specific inventory? Do you know where you stand? Do you know where you may stand? What are you going to do for the future? And if suddenly the state of New York says, well, guess what? You owe more money for this, like every other municipality, blah, blah, blah. Where do we stand? Do we have the availability, other than to tax the public, on what we should be doing? We're held together, you can thank the county, by sales tax.
Oh, sure.
Okay, you know where it was a few years ago, where it is now. All right, if something dried up or something happened to the economy, and you better be careful. I want to talk about Ebola for a minute. And if that happened, where are we? You would think we need really fiscal planning, and you need to have it up front, and you can't pull punches. No punches to be pulled. And you've got to say, okay, what do you want to do? But I think you do have to inform the public. Again, if they don't want to get involved, then you did your job. But that's what I think they should be concentrating on. And if you got anything out of there, it would be the alderman. Dave Dybus was correct. The aldermen are responsible for certain things, but I think when it happened in the past, there should have been, well, I don't know well, I'll say it. I think the mayor should have been more involved when the office wasn't functioning. Apparently, like they say, people weren't there, they left or whatever, and when the transition took place. I think it was her responsibility. She may say it wasn't. I disagree with her totally. I think it was her responsibility as chief officer of the city of Amsterdam. Okay, I know I'm told it wasn't, but I'm told a lot of things. Most of them not favorable to me, but etc. She should have. And this is where you may have had a downtime, but there was the ability, I think, right now to start to put it together, to go to the public. You think, you say these numbers. I can read this here and read all these numbers. You think it's any of us are really, unless we work with it?
Let's talk about some of these numbers. When we left office,
right,
the
208 I left.
The fund balance was what, 4
they
million?
They had said
3.5 million?
2 point something to 3.
Yeah, all right, let's say 3.
Right.
And now 90% or more of that was gone by 2013.
She said she explained that, if you remember.
Well, you can explain it all you want. It's gone, right?
I don't recall her explaining it.
There was something a long time ago that was put out that this is why, I don't know where the heck it was, this is why we had it, this is what happened, and it really didn't exist. That's the best answer. It really didn't exist.
It really didn't
It's all
exist.
myth.
There was no fund balance, right?
Or something to that, or there was some, but maybe it wasn't what you said.
Of what's left of the fund balance, if there's anything. But
right.
we're going back a couple of.
Remember, this is, excuse me, just to get the dates right. This AUD is 12.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
I think this is like getting to 15.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
Right.
Going into 2013.
Right. So even forget the intervening years.
Right.
If there are 600 properties on the foreclosure list, that tells me that the reserve for uncollected taxes, which is traditionally about 10% a year in the budget, is wrong. So that if in fact our fund balance is entirely made up of uncollected taxes, which it must be if there are 600 properties on the list.
But you got to find out what each owes. You got to be fair about it. That's what I want to get the list with.
Okay.
Because there's going to be stuff where somebody owes $10 and forgot. So
I understand that.
But you got to flag them.
But it's always that way.
You got to flag them, because what always bothered me is if you start to see major items, it's like when Coleco wouldn't pay $8.
Right.
And you saw that and you said, whoa, something's wrong here.
Right.
And then we found out what happened. But I know what you're saying. But how do you do it? Everybody's got a different story. There's 8 million stories in Amsterdam.
Well, first of all, you should know what your fund balance consists of. It should be listed that the fund balance consists of this money left over from fiscal, actual money, unspent funds, whatever.
Right.
But the asset is the uncollected taxes.
Right. Well, how much did you have to pay the school? And I think one of the things they should do, it's my opinion, and of course Gavin isn't here. I was really going to come down on Gavin if he was here. Do they audit? And I'm not saying anybody's doing something wrong, but don't you think as a precaution, if we get a bill from the school, we should audit it?
Of course.
Thank you.
They don't do that?
I said thank you. Okay? Don't you think that should be a priority, especially if it's $500,000 or whatever? But, then we always looked at the overlay, we looked at this, we looked at that. But right now, they didn't put any fund balance in the budget. So they are running on a revenue expenditure item. And I wonder if that's being monitored at all.
The overlay is a percentage of the budget.
It's a percentage of what you may not collect. That's why I asked the question, what's the percentage of collection? And let's put it this way. It wasn't a nice number, I heard. Okay?
It can't be.
And that's dangerous. It's very dangerous, because you know as well as I do. You can't have a small group, as I saw when I had done the last analysis in the city. You can't have just a small group of people paying for everybody else, because they're going to throw their hands up and says, "I'm out of here," or "This I can't take this."
Have you driven around the city?
Yes,
how many signs are up?
Well, there was before many years ago. The thing is, you've got to know. You've got to define yourself. Let's get to fundamentals. You've got to define yourself. Oh, we're a bedroom community. When? We're this. Malta's coming. Well, how many years did we hear Malta's coming? How many years did we hear Target? Every vacant property in the city that could be rented was going to be rented now, okay?
Right.
We've heard all these stories, so you got to say, hey, guys, we better look at something else to do. And I think we should. But you're dealing with, I think, a lot of bias. I think still it's based on personality. I really do. I think a lot of it's based on parties, personality, and stuff, at the expense of grandma who lives down the street, who thinks that what's going on. You think they're going to understand all of this? They need to explain to them. Hey, explain it to them in simple English. You got $25 in your wallet. This is what's going on. We must pay this bill and this bill. Here's what the percentage went up on your health insurance. Here's what's going on here. Here's where we stand, and here's what may happen. And this is what could happen with you because we've got nobody else to tax. All right? And that's why you got to be careful about this, because dealing with a lot of people, believe me, I don't think there's some people on there that would hesitate to raise the taxes. And they don't care about the 3% or whatever. And it's you got to have a hand on that. The whole structure, basically, as you know. I used to raise my hand at the charter meetings that we had, which will be coming up, sure. You know how I feel about most. I voted no on all but 2.
And we're voting no on all of them.
Well, I can't vote no on the taking the mayor away from the Common Council chambers.
Well, I would vote aye on that if it didn't also give the mayor the appointment of the deputy mayor.
Well, things all got bunched together. Okay.
All right.
But you look at it from any perspective. You've got. I used to put my hand up and says, well, maybe we want to dissolve. You know how many times you and me have discussed that?
Right.
All right. And it means, we can't do that. We can't do this. Well, then what are we? Really, be honest about it. What are we? Are we going to become, maybe, I'm wrong, maybe we're going to become the Louvre. Maybe we'll have such art in the city of Amsterdam. Now I'm going to get hateful phone calls now.
You're against culture.
That's what I'll get. And I'm not against culture. I just bought $75 to look at all the paintings in the Vatican. So I'm not against culture at all.
Cool.
Okay, so what a book. You ought to see this thing. But anyway, it could be now that we're going to have that all over. I always believed that you got to have something that nobody else has. And you've got to promote it. And I don't know if we're promoting the way we should be promoting, but we got to look at our land. What do we have available? What can we have? And we got to look at our infrastructure and everything. And we say it, the words over and over again. But is anybody doing it? Take, for instance, say you had 200 homes up. And we've done this, Bob.
Right.
How are the codes department, because they go in and they check it, and how are they possibly going to do this?
Yeah.
Plus what they have. And then they're going to say, well, we'll auction it. We auction to the Chinese.
We know it's
impossible.
We know it's impossible because we tried it.
Right.
We ended up with 100 and something properties, homes mostly, and we had 2 guys to go around checking on all just to see what was in them and lock the doors. It took more time than we had manpower to do it.
Can't do it with the staff we've
just
got.
to throw a lock on the door. All the pipes ended up freezing.
Well, you go through all this, as you know, all the legal ramifications you have to go through. You can't let it accumulate. It's like you can't say, oh, man, now the dam is going to break. We're dead. We didn't fix this section of it.
From 1954 to 1960, we let it accumulate, right? Because when the Bigelow Sanford moved out of town, nobody wanted to foreclose on anything, so they let everything ride. And you know how many properties went up for auction in 1960 after not having done it for 6 years?
I have no idea.
9.
That speaks for itself.
And now we're in the 600 range.
Well, you got to understand, the state has changed, everything else has changed, there's all these taxes, the school is killing the public, there's all these gimmicks. You can't run, after a while the gimmicks go. You got to get a reality check. Malta, I wish they would. I don't want to be misquoted. Malta isn't coming here.
No.
All right? If they check the land
weren't we told the population was going to triple with all the people?
As a matter of fact, I'm glad you brought that. Yes, and I got in a fight with the gentleman, if you remember, it was a very heated fight, telling us that, yes, I'm glad you brought that up. We were told at a meeting that we were going to triple the population of Amsterdam because of Malta.
Once AMD opened.
Yeah, we were told that. And I said, where are you coming up? Well, I don't want to tell you what I said. We can't say it on the air. But it was like, where's this stuff coming from? Then you're told, like you're told on the bridge, and the people sit there and says, we don't have to worry, James and June and whoever we are, because they're going to spend, say that many came, where are they going to spend their money?
Not in the city.
Where are they going to go?
We don't have a restaurant in the city, do we? Or no, wait, I shouldn't say that. We have.
But I mean, how are you going to accommodate this? And how big is the bridge anyway to accommodate that many people with all the artsy stuff that's going to be on it, benches and trees, and probably don't have community gardens on it? I mean, I think there's other means. Now it's there. I guess I got to tolerate it, even though I thought putting gondolas on the river and having barges to bringing back fights were.
I just noticed we ran over our hour, so.
Did we?
Yes, we did. Michael, thanks for coming. Come back on Tuesday if you like, and we'll finish this discussion.
Well, I don't see the boss kicking us out.
Well, I don't care. I got things to do.
We better go.
And so anyway,
Goodbye, Will and Luca.
We'll be back on Tuesday at 11 o'clock with more of the show with no name.
Yeah, your
How
time
about
is
Monday?
changed.
What? Are we going this Monday? I don't know.
You are?
Anyway,
Monday?
I don't know. I don't think this Monday, are we?
Really? You're out for 3
We don't know.
days?
We might be back Monday. Who knows? Anyway, this is WCSS 1490 on your dial in Amsterdam, New York.